Yeah. So like chemicals, radiations, virals, and some of the other causes like hormones, parasites, even some bacteria and chronic irritation has been extrinsic factor or the actual causes. When you say extrinsic factor, you can say them as the actual cause of tumor formation. So among this, the most important or the most what you can say distinctly identified carcinogens are the. If you mic off some chemicals play a major role in the induction or product in the development of tumors. So any type of agent, whether it is a chemical or whether it is a viral or whether it is radiation, whatever the case may be, those which have the ability to produce cancer formation or tumor formation, those are usually referred to as carcinogens. And the process or the mechanism by which the tumor is developed is called as carcinogenesis. So this, I think we have already discussed about that. So coming to the chemical carcinogens. So chemicals as carcinogens was identified as a cause of tumor was identified way back, almost like 200 years back, and a British surgeon by the name Sir Percival Fort. So he identified that scrotal cancers or scrotal tumors are more common in those people working under in chimneys where they are constantly exposed to charcoal. So charcoal or the soot, that is our charcoal powder that is called as soot. So when they are constantly exposed to these chemicals, they develop their scrotal cancer. But of course, he could not identify the exact chemical agents, which it means he cannot prove it, but he proposed or he correctly attributed the cause as proved that chemicals were the actual cause of the tumors in such cases. But that was done later on. But he was the first person to propose that chemicals could be a potential carcinogens. So after that, a number of chemicals, even many chemicals which we use which we use in day-to-day life, like monosodium glutamate, that is what is said, Ajinomoto, that is commonly used in case of food preparation. Then even lead, arsenic, or many other metals are found to be carcinogenic. So that is, but then slowly the list is increasing day by day. But still, we have to remember that chemicals are one of the most common cause for tumor development among the different direct carcinogens. Which some of your friends are joining. Let me admit them. So then, usually these chemicals are grouped into two major categories. One is called as a direct acting agent, and another one is called as indirect acting agents. Direct acting agents are why it is called as direct acting, because means it can directly induce any form of mutation. It doesn't require any metabolic conversion. Means it can directly act on the cell and then can produce mutation. That's why it is called as direct acting agents. And they are usually weak carcinogens. even though they are direct acting, but they are comparatively weak carcinogens in comparison to the indirect acting chemicals. So indirect acting chemical agents are those which requires metabolic conversion in the body before they can produce any tumor formation. It requires metabolic conversion, metabolic activation inside the body so that it can produce the tumors. So that is called as indirect acting carcinogens. So usually these indirect acting carcinogens are usually referred to as procarcinogens, and after metabolic conversion, when they're in the body, maybe in the liver or in the kidney, they get metabolized and then they produce the actual carcinogens. Why it is called as procarcinogens? Because it is as such it is not carcinogenic. It is means before procarcinogens. But then when it is metabolically activated, then it becomes the actual carcinogens. So that is why it is called as procarcinogens, and the product which forms as a result of this conversion, it is usually called as the ultimate carcinogens. So that means that is the actual component. Means the activated component is called as the ultimate carcinogen. So that is about different categories: direct acting and indirect acting. So some here, then another group of another classification is that the chemicals are usually categorized into two types, again based upon their mechanism of action. One is called as initiators, another is called as promoters. So the difference between these two is that when a chemical is capable of causing any genetic mutation on its own, when a chemical is capable of causing a genetic mutation or genetic damage and thereby result in tumor formation, then those type of chemicals are usually called as initiators. Those are called as initiators. Then there are certain group of chemicals which they themselves do not have the potential to cause mutation. They as such do not have the potential to cause mutation. But when it is added along with some other chemical, when it is added along with the initiators, some form of initiators, they potentiate or they multiply the chances of tumor formation many folds. They promote the tumor formation, and those type of chemicals are called as promoters. Is that clear? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that is what you say it as initiators and promoters in chemicals. Then, so example for promoter means those which promotes the tumor formation. They themselves do not have the potential to cause a mutation, but then when it is added along with another initiator molecules, then they can promote the tumor formation. Those type of chemicals are called as promoters. Examples like phleboesters, hormones, certain phenolic compounds, and certain drugs. Coal tar. These are some of the examples. They themselves are not tumorogenic, but then when they are added along with the initiators, they promote the tumor formation. So that is another two categories. First one is the direct and indirect acting one. The second one is initiators and promoters. There are two types of classification of chemicals. So this chemical carcinogenesis is usually there are three major steps in the chemical carcinogenesis. One is called as initiation. That is what I told. That is those chemicals which cause a DNA damage. They cause the DNA damage, and DNA damage, whenever you say DNA damage, that indicates mutation. Only when there is mutation, then the chemicals or the tumor formation can take place. So that is what we normally say it as DNA damage or mutation. Simply you can say them as mutation also. Examples that is given already here: benzpyrene. Benzpyrene is a group of chemicals which can act as an initiator. Then promoters, that just now we have seen promotion. That is another step that is called as promotion. So that initiators and promoters are another category. But these are different steps in chemical carcinogenesis: initiation, promotion, and then the next stage is called as progression. I think we have already discussed about this initiation, promotion, and progression in your previous classes. So you just remember that this initiation, progression, and promotion cycle is quite prominent, or it is well established or well categorized in case of chemical carcinogenesis than in comparison to the Other forms of carcinogenesis like viral or radiation is not that prominent. But in chemical carcinogenesis, it is quite clearly categorized. You can differentiate each of the steps like initiation, promotion, and progression stages in the chemical carcinogenesis. So, coming to the different types of carcinogens, different types of chemicals. So, coming to direct acting carcinogens, we have already categorized direct acting and indirect acting. So, among the direct acting carcinogens, it includes compounds like alkylating agents and acylating agents. So, these are different examples. I think we can. I will send you the slides and then you can go through the examples. So, but then you have to remember that these direct acting carcinogens are usually weak carcinogens, and they can directly produce any tumor formation by inducing a mutation. So that is what direct acting carcinogens. So among the indirect acting, or which is also called as pro-carcinogens, that requires metabolic activation inside the body. Whenever these chemicals are taken up in the body, or when it is exposed to the body, these chemicals require metabolic activation. So this includes a number of compounds, like the most important or the common one are the polycyclic and heterocyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. It is the most potent carcinogen, the group of carcinogens among the different chemicals. Among the different chemicals, you can say these polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons are the most potent group of chemicals which can cause carcinogenesis. So this polycyclic includes like compounds like benzanthracene, benzopyrenes, 3-methylcholanthrin. These two compounds which we are telling, that is a 3-methyl MCA, which is usually referred to as MCA, 3-methylcholanthrin, and another one is 7,12 dimethyl benzanthracene, which is usually abbreviated as DMBA. That MCA and DMBA, these two chemicals you have to remember, because these two chemicals are the most commonly used chemicals for experimental studies, and they are the most potent carcinogens. Among the different compounds, you can say this methylcholanthrin and DMBA, dimethyl benzanthracene, are the most potent carcinogens of the different groups of chemicals. So other than this one, you have other group of chemicals like aromatic amides, which includes like naphthalamines, benzidines. Then there are different types of chemicals, even natural compounds, which is present in the fungus, different types of fungus like aflatoxin B1 produced by Aspergillus, or even microbial products, even chemicals like betel nuts. Betel nuts is actually the natural compound, but it has a compound in the betel nut. There is a compound which can cause tumor formation. The betel nut is nothing but what the coa or tobacco you used to take, the people used to take this pan. In the pan, they used to have the betel nut. They are highly carcinogenic in nature. They have some chemicals which can induce tumor formation. Like otherwise Christopher. There are different other natural compounds also. Then there is another most common one among the what you can say, especially in the northeastern region, which is quite commonly we get exposure to this compound that is called as nitrosoamines and amides. So these nitrosoamines and amides, they are the compounds which are usually found in case of the smoked products, whatever the cooked meat, smoked meat which we take. Especially why I'm saying northeast, because in the northeast these smoked products are quite commonly used, like a day-to-day activity. They used to have these smoked products, Voxa wrap, whatever this wrap, the smoked products. What they take. They have their compound called as nitrosoamines, which are carcinogenic in nature. That is why what I feel is that this may be one of the main contributing factors for the development of tumors in the northeastern region. Why you think even in Aizawl, I don't know whether people are more or not. Among the different different states or different cities, Aizol is the Mizoram is the most common or the most state with the most prevalence of carcinogens or tumors. So that these nitrosamines and the above, of course, they also have the habit of taking cover. So these habits could contribute to the development of tumor formations. So this is about chemicals. Then, so usually coming to the mechanism of action, all these chemicals are usually highly reactive electrophiles. That means they are electrophiles. What do you mean by electrophiles? They are affinity to electrons, electrophilic in nature. So they form a chemical adduct with DNA, which are usually neutrophilic in nature. So they can directly go and act on these DNAs and which are neutrophilic in nature. That means they have affinity for the neutrons. So the electrophilic compounds, they actually go and act on the neutrophilic compounds. So the chemicals directly go out and act on the DNAs, and then they produce chemical adducts with DNAs as well as the protein and RNAs. So that results in the mutation of genes, especially the RAS and TP53 genes are the most commonly affected genes in case of chemical carcinogenesis. The RAS gene and the TP53 genes are usually mutated, which results in the tumor formation. So that is about the mechanism of action. Then coming to the second group or second category of carcinogens, that is radiation. So these radiations are also again a very important category or group of compounds which are responsible for tumor formation, especially in case of humans. This may be not that common in case of animals, but then it is a very important factor in for tumor development in case of humans. So these these radiations can be in the form of UV ray, or it may be in the form of X-rays, radiographs. Radiographs, when you say, it means X-rays, or it may be due to any type of any type of radiation from the industries, radiation from the. So in case of, I think you would have come across this Bhopal incidents of Bhopal, or Chernobyl, or Hiroshima, Nagasaki, that nuclear bombs. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So these chemicals, these radiations play a major role in the tumor formation. That's what I mean to say. So the radiations, the cause of tumor was established after the incident. Even in case of this, it has been found. Say a good example for this radiation as a cause of tumor was from the case of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I think you would have come, all of you would know about this Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Yes, sir.
There was a nuclear bombing in the during the World War II. So it has been found in those people, those residing in this area, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the incidence of leukemias or blood cancers and the other type of tumors was found to be more in comparison to after the nuclear bombing. The incidence was found to be more in those people in comparison to the other cities of the Japan, So that clearly indicated that radiation was an important cause for tumor formation. So that was a major breakthrough. Then similarly, in case of Chernobyl, Chernobyl is a place in case of Ukraine, or previously it was USSR. There in Chernobyl also the same thing happened. Then see many such even in India, the Bhopal tragedy, it is it has been found that in those people the incidence of tumor was more in comparison to the people who are not exposed to the radiations. So that proved that radiation is an important cause for tumor formation. So these radiations can be categorized into two types. One is called as ionizing radiations. Another one is the non-ionizing radiations. So usually the ionizing radiations, they cause chromosome breakage. How they cause tumor formation? Ionizing radiations, they can cause either chromosome breakage, chromosome rearrangement, or in frequent or less frequent cases, it can be due to point mutation. So by then they produce a carcinogenesis. By producing chromosome breakage or chromosome rearrangement or point mutation, they can produce carcinogenic genes, and then thereby producing carcinogenesis. Then the non-ionizing radiations like the UV rays especially the UV rays from the sunlight, these group of radiations, they produce a compound called as pyrimidine dimers. Along with the DNA, and then they cause mutations of the genes by using pyrimidine dimers, and then ultimately they produce squamous cell carcinomas or other type of tumors in the skin. That is by non-ionizing radiations. Or usually the radiations they can also produce what can say. But there are two different mechanisms by which the radiations can produce carcinogenesis. One is called as a direct effect, again direct acting. In case of direct method, or in the pathogenesis, it can be through direct mechanism. In the direct mechanism, the DNA damage takes place directly. Then the second mechanism is by producing a indirect method, or it is also called a secondary effect, wherein the radiations produces oxygen-free radicals or free radicals, and these oxygen-free radicals, they produce the mutations. The chemical as such do not produce any mutation in the genes. The oxygen-free radicals which are formed as a result of the radiation injury, those oxygen-free radicals produce a mutation in the genes. So that is the indirect method, or it is also called as secondary effectors. So these are two mechanisms or two different categories which they can mutate, either by direct mutation or it may be due to secondary effect. So that is radiations. So then a little bit about the ultraviolet rays, because this ultraviolet rays, even though it is a common sunlight, you simply say this ultraviolet rays is directly coming from sunlight. How these chemicals, ultraviolet rays, may be carcinogenic. Usually, ultraviolet rays are categorized into three major groups. That is called as UVA, UVB, and UVC. UVA rays are usually absorbed in the, not UVA, UVC rays. UVC rays, or they do not, the animals or the humans do not get exposure to UVC rays because they are usually removed from the atmosphere by the ozone layer. The ozone layer acts as a protective covering, and then they remove the ozone. They do not, the UVC rays are not exposed. They do not pass through the ozone layer. So the remaining is UVA and UVBs. So among these groups, UVA and UVB, UVA is more potential, than UVB in producing mutation. But then you have to remember that UVB are more common factor in tumor formation than UVAs. That is mainly because the UVAs cannot penetrate the skin in comparison to UVB. UVB has a more penetrative potential than UVAs. So among UVA, UVB, and UVC, the UVB category is more, has a more incidence of tumor formation in comparison to UVA, even though UVA is more potential. Okay, so that is about little bit about the radiation produced carcinogenesis. Then coming to the next category, that is the viral and microbial carcinogenesis. So again, in case of animals, this is a many even in case of humans, it is not that important. You cannot say that important, but it is not that common in comparison to chemical in comparison to chemicals and other categories. But in case of animals, this viral or microbial agents of oncogenesis is very common, especially in case of poultry. There is Marek's disease or avian leukosis. These are quite common diseases in case of birds, poultry, and even in case of animals also, like bovine papillomavirus or feline papillomavirus. There are many different types of viruses. So these viruses, they have the potential to produce a carcinogenesis or tumor formation. So both DNA and RNA viruses have been proved to be carcinogenic in case of animals, as well as even in case of primates, animals, and in case of primates. That includes humans also. So, but then a little bit about history about the viral oncogenesis. So it was in the year 1876 that was first is a person or a scientist by the name Nowinski. He transplanted venereal granuloma. Venereal granuloma, it is usually referred to as TVT, which is commonly referred to as TVT, transmissible venereal tumor. It is a common tumor in case of dogs. It's very common in case of dogs. So what does that? He transplanted venereal granuloma from one dog to another. At that time, he didn't identify that it is a virus. He simply transplanted tumor from one animal, one dog, to another dog, and then he showed that there is some factor which is producing a tumor in those animals, which is transplantable from one dog to another. So that was done by Nowinski. He at that time, as I told, he doesn't know that it is actually the virus which is responsible for that, but then later on it was found out to be a viral cause. Later on, in the year 1908, Ellerman and Bang, there is another group of personalities called as scientists called as Ellerman and Bang. They were the first, you can say, they were the first to identify that there are some filterable products, filterable particles which can cause avian leukosis. That was the first experiment to show that oncogenic viruses were responsible for tumor formation. Later on, subsequently, a lot of works were done. The important one, including the year 1910, there is a Ross sarcoma. He developed a Ross sarcoma in chickens, and in 1933 by Shope fibroma in case of rabbits, or papillomas in case of rabbits. So these are important scientific discoveries which proved that virus as an important cause of tumor formation. So as I told, these viruses can produce viruses. Tumor producing viruses can be either from the DNA viruses or from the RNA viruses. So among the DNA viruses, there are multiple DNA viruses like papavirus, herpes virus, hepatinovirus, adenovirus, pox virus. There are multiple type of DNA viruses which have the potential to cause tumors, but then you have class now after this? What my BBC biochemistry class?
Yes, sir.
Okay, anyway, let us complete this portion, then we will go for it. So these viruses can be in the form of DNA viruses or in the form of RNA viruses. So among the different DNA viruses, it includes papavirus, herpes virus, hepatinovirus, adenovirus, and pox virus. So even though many DNA viruses are there, the incidence of tumor by these DNA viruses is less, except for papilloma virus. Papilloma virus, others is less in comparison to the RNA viruses. In the RNA virus group, there is only one family of virus which can produce tumors, and that is called as retrovirus. Retrovirus is the only form of RNA virus which produces tumors. But then you have to remember that these retroviruses is more, the incidence of tumors caused by retroviruses is more than in comparison to the DNA viruses. Even though it is common, means it is only one, but then the causes are the retroviruses are the major group of, are the major causes of tumor development in case of, especially in case of animals. So these retroviruses usually are categorized in two major types. One is called as a rapid transforming retroviruses. Another one is called as slow transforming retroviruses. So these retroviruses usually, the mechanism, why it is called as these two types, or rapid or slow, because depending upon the mechanism. Rapid, as the name indicates, they produce tumor formation in a very fast rate, rapid transforming retroviruses. Slow transforming retroviruses, they produce tumors in a slower rate, means the tumor develops in a slower rate. So these rapid transforming retroviruses, it includes all the means the rapid transforming retroviruses usually have viral oncogenes in them, V-oncs, usually referred to as V-oncs, which refers to viral oncogenes. So these viral oncogenes, they are responsible for tumor development in case of rapidly transforming retroviruses, viral oncogenes. In slow transforming retroviruses, they produce mutations or they produce tumor by a process called as insertional mutation. They produce a process by tumor by a process called as insertional mutation. That is, what it does is that these slow transforming retroviruses, they usually go and attach themselves in front of the pro-oncogenes of the cellular pro-oncogenes. They grow and attach in front of the cellular pro-oncogenes, and thereby they produce mutations which result in the continuous activation of the proto-oncogenes. Continuous activation of the proto-oncogenes. That is called as insertional mutation. Then, other than that, certain parasites, there are various parasites which have been, even though parasite means it's exactly not identified, but still various parasites have been attributed for tumor formations, like Eimeriastidae. Eimeriastidae, it produces tumors in case of liver in case of rabbits. Eimeriastidae, liver of rabbits, they produce tumors. Then Spirosorca lupi, they produce tumors in esophagus and aorta. They have been attributed for tumor formation. Spirosorca lupi, esophagus and aorta in case of dogs. Then Schistosoma hematobium in case of urinary bladder in case of humans. Gongylonema neoplasticum. Then Tinea teniformis. Then Habronema megastoma. These are certain parasites which have been attributed to tumor formations. They are responsible for tumor formations. Then there are certain bacteria. There is, of course, not certain, only one bacteria which is attributed, which has been associated with tumor formations, especially in case of humans. That is called as Helicobacter pylori, which is the common cause for ulcers in case of humans. Ulcerations in case of humans is mostly caused by this Helicobacter pylori, and they have been attributed for the tumor formations in case of humans also. That is in case of bacteria. And other category is called as hormones. Hormones, they are usually referred to as anabolic steroids. Anabolic steroids. They are usually estrogenic compounds. I think while discussing about the male-female categorization of this in intrinsic causes, we have seen that in case of females, the incidence of tumor is more, especially in case of females, and that has been attributed to the presence of estrogen. So these estrogens are highly anabolic in nature. Anabolic means which helps in proliferation. So these anabolic steroids, they are certain type of hormones which are taken by athletes, especially the bodybuilders. They have the habit of taking these anabolic steroids, which promotes their muscle development. And These type of anabolic steroids have been found to cause tumor formations in those individuals. Then chronic irritation is also attributed as a cause for tumor formation. So, chronic irritation mostly is a good example you can give is that in case of people, especially in case of Kashmir, in case of people from Kashmir, they have in previous olden ages they have the habit of carrying a certain pot inside their stomach using charcoal in that is called as kangri pot. So in those people who are having, because of very low temperatures in those regions, what they does is that they usually carry a pot which is having charcoal inside there, covered with a clothing. So those people who are carrying the kangri pot in their body, attached to the body, in those people it was found that they developed tumors more common in compared to the other group of people who do not use it. And that was later on it was found that the chronic irritation produced by this kangri pot in the stomach region, they are responsible for the tumor formation. Even the parasites, even though parasite directly do not produce any mutation, the chronic irritation is basically found to be responsible for the tumor formation during the parasite infections also. So these are some of the important causes of extrinsic causes of tumors. And then with that we will stop for today and we will continue in the next class. Is there any